How are we? How are we? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another deadline stream. It is game week 7, the last one before the next international break. It is a Friday evening deadline, so do not forget to make sure your teams are all locked in by the end of this stream, because we have Bournemouth versus Fulham taking place tonight. Actually, a lot of FPL activity in that game. Senesi, Semenyo, Anderson. Lots going on. Yes, the hoodies are back. And actually, this is a new one. It's the same as you always see me wear my grey one. It is the equivalent, but in blue. And I quite like it. I am a hoodie person, for anyone who hasn't noticed yet. But let's dive in. Let's dive in and say hello to all of you before we get started with this stream. So say hello if you are in the chat. We will do the usual round of hellos and then we will get cracking with the stream. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a little bit of a quieter, slower week for me in terms of FPL, because my team, it's always the case the week after you play your wild card, and I haven't wanted to force anything too much, so I have just planned on rolling the transfer. But anyway, let's have a look. Fiona, Majed, Shane, Doran, FPL Verts. Hello to all the members and moderators in. Tim, who else have we got? Fiona. And hello to all the members and moderators. Thank you all, especially for your support on the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And to everyone else, a happy Friday evening to you all. We've got Crumpet, Matt, Nicholas, Tyler, Avishek, Sergey, Mitch, Michael, Evishen, Andrew, Derek, Evernold, Tim, Jack, Ricky, Levarsky, Sam, Ronaldo, ID, Nick, Shamil, Sean, Rory, Noah, Ben, Callum, Leandro, Jen. Hello, Jen. How are we doing? Ope, The Ship's Cat, Yellow Great, Richard, Chelsea, Demi, Akil, Joey, Fight Club, AB, Summiter, Simon, Sajan, Zoran, Kareem, Jack, Odorak, Tom, Walid, and everyone else. Hello. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you've all had a good week. I didn't realize until I refreshed my team just before I came on air that they've actually put a yellow flag on Gabriel, which feels unnecessary. I'm surprised they've done that. He's in training. He's been pictured in training, and Arteta has literally said they think he's fine. So let's start with a couple of the big questions this week. Do I think Gabriel plays? I think he's fit enough to play. Do Arsenal leave him out because he's got the big game? He's got Brazil, and if he doesn't play, he might get a time off. Maybe, but I would predict that Gabriel starts. And I would also predict, that João Pedro starts. He's not in the Brazil squad, but I fully imagine he will start. And I think he will play up front for Chelsea in the number 9 position tomorrow at home to Liverpool, with Enzo Fernandez in the number 10, Esteval and Neto on the wings. And I think Lavia and Caicedo will both play for Chelsea, particularly because of the defensive frailties that we have, with Badiashile and Achapong being the likely starters at centre-back. Let me just good to make sure I've got everything up before the stream starts, Harry, but here we are regardless. Just going to get the scout predicted lineups up, just see what they're thinking for Chelsea. Yeah, they've got exactly the same as me. So Sanchez, James, Achapong, Badiashile, Cucurella, Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo in the 10, João Pedro, Esteval, and Neto. I presume they've still got Gabriel in their Arsenal lineup. Yes, they do. Calafiori, Timber. If you are looking for an Arsenal defender, given that Calafiori didn't play any minutes midweek, I don't mind it. Dubamendi, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Gyökeres, Eze. It's interesting because there are two differing quotes from Arteta from the press conference, which you can believe depending on whether you want to believe there's going to be Arsenal rotation or there's not. The first quote that people who want the rotation has basically said that the turnaround is too much. So people think that means rotation. But if you actually look at the end of that quote, he says, and if this continues, we'll need to rotate. That doesn't imply that it's an issue right now. It implies if they get back and they have to keep doing this going forward, then yes, it's too many minutes for everyone to play. And he also said in that press conference that the West Ham game he knows has been an issue for them in the past. I think they've lost the past two home games against West Ham last year and the year before, and he is very much aware of that. So I don't expect mass rotation for Arsenal in this fixture personally. There is a lot of talk about João Pedro, and I understand it a little bit because he's had 0 shots against Brighton, 0 shots against Man United, and 0 shots against Brentford. What I would say, no one was complaining about the 0 shots against Brentford when he came away with a 7-pointer. He has creativity. That's part of what he does in the team. He is a focal point of that Chelsea attack. 0 against Man United. We had a player sent off after 5 minutes and he took every attacker off. Within 20 minutes of that, João Pedro, Esteval and Neto were all off the pitch, right? The other one was Brighton, where we also had a red card in that game. Now, it wasn't as early on in the game, but we still had a red card in that game. And as a result, he also took some of our attackers off the pitch. If you look at the Chelsea fixtures on the horizon, if you look from game weeks after the international break, like look at that, from game week 8 to 16, I just think you're going to want a piece of the Chelsea attack. Now, it might not be that you want João Pedro and you might want Enzo. I can't see Palmer being in our thoughts until at least the next international break. If I'm completely honest, I don't see it being reliable enough. If he comes back and he plays Forest, then he plays Champions League, you're just going to worry about Sunderland at home. They're not going to race him back. So it feels like João Pedro or Enzo are going to be the Chelsea players that we're looking at. And that run, for me, just looks too good to not have a Chelsea attacker in it. And now João Pedro suspended in the Champions League game between game week 8 and 9. We also have a fairly straightforward Champions League game between 11 and 12. And it is a cup match, I believe, between 9 and 10. There is a cup match. 10 to 11, there is an easy Champions League game. I think João Pedro and Enzo start all of those games, to be honest. So I wouldn't have any particular worry about João Pedro. A few of you asking about Gabriel. I think Gabriel will start. Some of you asking about Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres will start. There is, of course, a risk to it. It would probably do enough to put me off captaining a Gyökeres. I prefer Bukayo Saka in terms of captaincy this week. He is above him in my captaincy ranking, but I think they both will start. Haaland, for me, is just head and shoulders above as captain. His underlying data is just so incredible. That Man City team are just creating chance after chance for him. For me, it has to be a Haaland captaincy. Why bench Richards? I don't love benching Richards, but this was part of the point, right? That I went with this really big squad depth rather than just defenders that rotated, because it meant I had a good first sub pretty much every week. Because I could have gone for a cheap defender instead of Richards and just played on the rotation aspect of it. So just like I had a good 3 defenders, but the ones on my bench had a bad fixture. But I went with the added 0.5 investment so that I had depth if I needed it. So like, I don't worry about Gabriel at all. Like, I'm not sat here thinking, oh, like, is Gabriel going to play? To be honest, I don't care. For my team, I don't care at all if Gabriel plays. Because actually, Richards is probably a better first sub than a lot of people with Gabriel have. But of course I want Gabriel to play because I think he's got a higher ceiling than Richards, but I've got a pretty good first sub and that's why I went for it. I don't like benching Richards actually this week. I think it's a pretty good fixture, but Richards over João Pedro, a few people are saying his floor is higher. That's possible. If I had this bench, would I bench boost? I don't think I would, if I'm honest. I don't think I would. It's close. Like, it's definitely bench boostable. And actually, it probably looks just as good as the bench that I bench boosted a few weeks ago and did quite well. It is definitely high enough up that you can play the bench boost here. But I just think personally I wouldn't. I didn't triple captain last week because I was on wildcard. Would I triple captain this week? It is one that I would consider. Yeah, for some reason, I don't have that gut feel. And it might be because it's the immediate week after he's just been a great triple captaincy option. And I don't want to sort of chase that triple captaincy return. But I don't think this is a bad week to play the triple captain on Haaland. Brentford are way down for their defensive numbers so far this season. You do get 5 free transfers in game week 16. Yes, you don't really need to plan your team anywhere beyond that. I mean, that is still 10 weeks away, but yeah. That's a 15, 16 point bench. I think I'd do well to get 15 or 16 on it because I'd have to have at least 1 clean sheet, which is possible, and another return. I'd have to have 2 returns on it. Let's have a look at some of these super chats. Thank you all very much as well for your support on the channel recently. It's been incredible. Nice international break coming up, but yeah, we'll be ready to go. There will be a little bit of a break in terms of videos next week. There'll probably be a Sunday video and a Tuesday video, and I'm away Monday to Saturday, so there'll probably be Sunday, Tuesday, and then back again the following Sunday. So we will do an early wildcard draft because I know a lot of you are considering playing it this week. Would I swap Burn for anyone? I have wondered about Burn in for Tarkowski. If I had unlimited transfers, maybe I'd do Tarkowski to Burn this week. But if I had Burn, I'd probably bench Tarkowski for Burn. Game week 7 only. A, João Pedro to Gyökeres. B, Williams to Timber. C, save wildcard 8. João Pedro to Gyökeres is probably the biggest upgrade, but if you're going João Pedro on wildcard 8, I wouldn't because you'll lose value. In which case, I'd probably do option B. Play Caicedo or João Pedro. I actually think I'd play Caicedo. I think it's pretty close, but I think Caicedo is almost certain to hit a 4-pointer, and in order to beat that, we have to get a return for João Pedro. Walter Marder, really interesting in the chat. I've been very negative on Walter Marder because of the imminent return of Visser, but it sounds like Visser's going to be out until at least the next international break. I'd be surprised if we see Visser start before game week 12, which does make Walter Marder a good short-term pick. Yes, it does. And it might even be a good long-term pick by then. So I feel like I've got to apologise because I've been pretty negative on Walter Marder, but if the Visser setback is as negative as it sounds, then yeah. When do we load up on Newcastle? So I've wondered about it. If I could do Ilman and Die to Gordon in one transfer this week, I think I probably would. I don't have enough money in the bank to do it, and I would have to do 2 transfers to get him. I can do Tarkowski to Burn and Ilman and Die to Gordon. I don't think I'm going to force it this week, although I think Burn and Gordon could both do very well this week. But it might be, for example, next week, if I don't like Bruno still, then I could do Bruno to Gordon. I have got my eye on a couple of Newcastle players, yeah. It was just then Gordon and Burn both being called up for the England squad was probably enough for me to say, let's just give it a week. Let's just give it a week until game week 8, and then I can reassess. But I do have my eye on particularly Gordon. I just need to, like, if he suddenly plays 90 again after playing a lot of minutes in the Champions League, then yeah. Are FPL managers overlooking Jadon Anthony? If I'm completely honest, I think FPL managers are overhyping Jadon Anthony. I think he's had a fantastic start to the season, but he's not going to score 20 goals this season or whatever he's on track to get. I just don't see it continuing the same level it has. He's been so good so far. Do not get me wrong. I've been very, very impressed by Burnley and by him in particular for this part of the season, but I still don't trust it long term. Why not Richards over João Pedro? Why not Richards instead of Tarkowski? Both of those are possible. Yeah, both of those are possibilities. I just Richards played Thursday. Just that fatigue is a nice excuse not to have to play him, I'd say. If I had to start him, I think I'd still play. I think I'd bench Tarkowski. The only issue with benching Tarkowski for him is then I play Richards against Illiman and Die, and it just doesn't feel that sensible to do. I mean, it might be that I'm just guaranteed something, but then, it's going to be 1-0 Grealish goal, no and Die assists, and I'm going to lose points both ways. Is it Minte and Sarr both better options than Ndai at this point? I don't know the answer to that because I still think like Everton, Bournemouth, Arsenal are not great. Game week 10 is a real entry point for someone like a Sarr or a Mateta, and I will have a look at it. I fully am not loving the Illiman and Die pick, but I don't want to react to it after just one blank. It was West Ham at home, but they did have a new manager, so yeah. Yeah, maybe if I was on wildcard this week, I wouldn't have any Everton in it. And maybe part of me, at least I'm happy that I didn't go with Dewsbury Hall because I said I don't want to have a triple up on Everton, which was the right thing to do. Yeah. What's the safe margin point this week? So I actually get asked this a lot. For anyone who watches the team selection videos, I have the safety score in that video, which is basically the number of points that I need in order to not get a red arrow or in order to get a green arrow, whichever way you want to word it. But it's not something that's determined before the game week starts. It's something that adapts as time goes on throughout the game week. So after one game, it will be, this is what you need so far, but it will depend on how many players you've had play. It's dynamic. It's not done before the start of the game week. So I can't tell you what you're aiming for this week. Because if Haaland is everyone's captain and Haaland scores a hat-trick, or if Haaland blanks, what you need for a green arrow or red arrow completely changes. A few comments about the storm in the UK. It has actually literally just started raining here in London, but I'd be very surprised if we see any games postponed. The storm doesn't go past, I had a look this afternoon, it doesn't go past a yellow weather warning anywhere where there's a match, I don't think. I did see there's a little bit in Leeds, but I'd be surprised. Who's the best midfielder from Arsenal after Saka? Take your pick for Eze and Rice there, if I'm honest. It's difficult because I still think Eze is a slight minutes risk. I think he's going to play in game week 7. He didn't start midweek, so there's no reason why Eze won't start at home to West Ham. But I don't know long term. I prefer Rice. Probably. Better medium long term between Saka or Gyökeres. Probably Saka. Maybe. I don't know. If Gyökeres, it's quite hard to answer that without seeing the lineup this weekend, because if Gyökeres can play 3 times in a week, then it's Gyökeres. But right now, there is that very small doubt in my mind, which makes me want to lean more towards Saka just because he got the rest midweek. I still think I prefer Gyökeres. Like if I was on wildcard this week, I think I'd still go Gyökeres over Saka. How long is Alisson out for? So original diagnosis was that he's going to be out until the next international break. From the press conference today, it makes it sound like he might be back just before that international break. He should be back somewhere between game week 9 and 12. It is not a good idea to buy their backup. It is not. I would strongly urge you not to buy their 4.3 million backup goalkeeper. Toss into Timber or Chris Wood to Gyökeres. You have no Arsenal cover. I would say the attacking transfer is always a bigger priority. Nicola. Yep. Rory, 3 years as a member. Thank you very much. I massively appreciate it. He says, if you haven't yet, consider joining Harry's paid membership. You'll unlock some amazing benefits. I don't really talk about the membership that much because thankfully so many of you support me and I want to make sure I've got enough time to answer all of the members' questions and all of that stuff. But I do have 3 tiers. Base tier, which just gets you benefits during live streams. You've got mid tier, which gets you sort of members only content. And on a Thursday morning, we do a specific members only stream. The next one up gets you one-to-one support with your team. And then the top one is a GOAT tier member, which gets you all of the existing perks, so one-to-one support, and every week, once a week, we have an hour-long Zoom call all together where we chat football. You have your own chat where everyone helps each other. There's a whole WhatsApp community on WhatsApp for everyone to chat, for anyone who is mid-tier and above. And honestly, the amount of messages in it, the amount of active people in it is, I would say it's one of the best things and the most proud things I'll say built, but I don't know what the right word is. But I appreciate all of you who have done it. Bruno to Saka for free. I don't mind that transfer. I think if I had 5 transfers, I probably would do. I don't have the money to do it personally, but yeah. I quite like the transfer, yes. The membership is fantastic. A great group of people talking about football. Doesn't get better than that. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been looking at my club team today. Cool. Bench boost. There's a lot of you wondering about bench boost. And what I would say is, if you've already wildcarded, I would look at bench boosting between now and game week 11. I wouldn't save it until after the next international break where we get into the Christmas run. I wouldn't save it that long. So look at 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. I would advise 10 isn't it. I think there's not great fixtures for a lot of the cheap assets that week. If you've already wildcarded, I would look at the bench boost 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Look which one looks best. Maybe look one which looks second best. And if game week 7 is in the top 2, I probably would just get it done. On wildcard, Reinders, Sarr, Pedro, or Enzo, Gordon, Calvert-Lewin. Probably Reinders, Sarr, João Pedro, probably. What tools do I use to make my graphics? Do you mean these ones or do you mean the ones in my videos, Luke? Let me know, because there are 2 completely different answers to those. The ones in my videos I make all myself on Photoshop. The stream overlay, I have a very good, very kind person who does it for me. Would to Gyökeres for a -4 worth it? To be honest, yes. Like, there is slight doubt to Gyökeres' minutes, but I would just get it done. Like, if you're not on wildcard, in game week 8, you're probably going to want to do that regardless. So yes. I'm not sure when I'm going to triple captain. I don't think game week, I think it's 17 that I've mentioned at home to West Ham looks as good now. I think that's fair enough. But I'm not going to rush into using it. I still think there's enough good opportunities later on in the season. Yeah. 4,000 of you in, and basically none of you have liked the stream. If you could drop a like, that would be great. Try and get it close to 500 or only 200 away. And subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you all very much for joining on your Friday evenings. Start Burn or Van de Ven. So let me get I think the benching ranking is about to come up. Do I have both of them in it? Burn is above Van de Ven. So yeah, Joel, I'd go Burn over Van de Ven. Gordon for Bruno. United are a mess. They lost to Brentford. How can they beat Sunderland 5th place? I'm going to put it out there. And I will say that Manchester United should not have lost to Brentford. First big reason is Collins should have been sent off. And trust me, as a Chelsea fan, there's nothing more that I love than a little bit of a Man United loss. But Collins should have been sent off. And if Bruno scores the pen and they don't delay him taking the penalty for 5 minutes, yeah. Alf, how are we doing? Play Dorgu or buy Saka and bench Dorgu? I mean, Saka's miles above Dorgu. If you're going to buy Saka regardless, whether you do it, if it's going to be Saka in this week or Saka in next week, I would just do it. I would just get it done and bench Dorgu. relieve yourself of a pain, of the pain of the Man United defender. That's a lot of ifs. If, buts and maybes. It is raining here in London. Quite a lot. Still sticking with Man United players is actually mental. Quite possibly. But if Bruno had scored both his penalties, he'd be the second highest scoring midfielder in the game, only behind Semenyo. So I would just say I've been unlucky. Anyone who's picked Bruno, it's just unlucky at this point. It's nothing to do with the fact that we shouldn't have bought a Man United player for 9 million playing central defence midfield. It's nothing to do with that. It was the fact that he's unlucky that he hasn't scored two pens. Because, 3 pens in the first 6 weeks is completely reasonable. Sell João Pedro or Richarlison to Gyökeres. I'd rather sell Richarlison. If you've wildcarded already, those Chelsea fixtures long term, I'd want to keep João Pedro. DCL or João Pedro? João Pedro. Are there any Man United fans in the chat that will actually let me know who they think will take pens? Why have I got Van de Ven quite low down? So I think there's a small risk he doesn't start because he's played an awful lot of minutes and all the other Spurs defenders have had a rest. Bruno sticks on pens. Bruno for sure. Bruno. Okay. I think there's a very small chance that Van de Ven doesn't start, and they've played midweek and they've not looked good defensively. In all my transfer targets video, for anyone who watches all the content, I've started doing this new segment in my transfer targets video where I talk about the biggest underperformers in terms of data so far. Let me get it up. Let me grab it. And every week I say Spurs are the biggest underperformers in terms of defensive data. And so let me get it up for you. If you want to check out Fantasy Football Scout, they are linked in the description and you can get 40% off. So XGC Delta, right? West Ham, biggest. I've been the most unlucky. Spurs have actually gone down a little bit because they did concede to Brighton, but they are the third biggest overachievers. Overperformers. They've conceded 4 goals from over 7 XG so far this season. Now, 7 XG wise, it's still not bad, but it's nowhere near the level that they've been put at. So I think I would be surprised if Ruben Amorim has the power at the moment to tell Bruno he's not on pens. Would I do Salah to Saka as a Chelsea fan? With Salah playing Man United and Chelsea in the next 2, I wouldn't sell Salah unless you need the money. Not convinced by Spurs defence at all. I'm not happy with some things I did on my wildcard last week, particularly Everton. But the one thing I'm all right about is I took all Spurs out. Last week, all the comments were no Spurs. I had no Spurs and no Liverpool on my wildcard. Now, it might go horribly wrong, but it went well for the first week. Agreed, Amorim ain't moving Bruno off pens. I think if Bruno loses pens, it will be Bruno's decision, which is it. I'd be surprised if he hands them out, but Reinders cleared to start over Caicedo. Yes, Reinders is top of my benching ranking, yeah. Benching ranking will be back up in a minute. Will Gabriel start? I mean, I could do with an Arteta crystal ball. It feels like it's been so long. When was the last time? It was probably about this time last year where we went through a period where we all had Saka and Gabriel and we had this every single week. Are they going to be available? I feel like Saka was yellow flagged for 2 months straight, it felt like. And every week we would just get, we'll see. Solomon Ewens is in the chat. I think he thinks Gabriel starts. I think Gabriel probably starts. Hope you're doing well, Solly. Saka and DCL or Paqueta and Gyökeres. Paqueta and Gyökeres, I think. Would I bench boost this week? I mean, it depends on your bench, but if this was my bench, I think I'd save it. I mean, we can have a look very quickly because it might apply a little bit. So if I didn't make a transfer, I was just doing some Gordon planning. This would be my bench in 8. I'd have double Everton on the bench and I wouldn't bench boost that. In game week 9, I'd have Anderson, Richards, doesn't look great. 10 doesn't work really because Dubravka is Arsenal, and Senesi is away at City. But I think 11 works quite well. Yeah, I would be. If this was my team, I'd probably be bench boosting in 11. It's predicted to do better than it is this week, but it's not a huge difference. This is what I mean. If I had the perfect week, then maybe like game week 17 is better for the bench boost. But if you've already wildcarded, I wouldn't want to be saving it more than until game week 11. I think game week 7, if you want to get it out the way, or game week 11 if you want to be a little bit patient. 11, as Luke is saying, 11 is so far away, anything could happen. And all it takes is one injury. And you're like, oh, well, Harry, you just use a transfer. But you don't really want to be doing that. Like, you don't want to be using a transfer in game week 11 because you've got one player with a bad fixture or that's injured so you can play a bench boost. That's the thing. Like, you could get to game week 11 and it just be... yeah, it could be like if you get an issue by then. If you get to game week 11 and everything exactly as it is, then yeah, like you're fine and you play it in 11. But I'm just pleased I don't have it. I really am. And that makes me inclined to recommend people, if they've got a decent enough bench this week and you wildcarded 6 or 5, it's just to get it gone. If you've still got the wildcard, then it's fine. You could wait till 11, but the general conclusion is if you're on wildcard, I would look to play your bench boost by game week 11 if you've already played your wildcard. Play Strand Larsen or Caicedo. I probably would take the chance on Strand Larsen. I know he's a little bit of a doubt, but I think I would. My benching problems don't help you with this. Would I play Sarr or Ndai? I'd play Sarr given he didn't start midweek. Yeah. I'd play Sarr, yeah. Thoughts on Sesko? There's so many good forwards in the game. Sesko is not anywhere near them, unfortunately, for how he started at United. And one of the reasons Man United are so far up the XG tables is because he took about 4 shots to score last week. But no, I wouldn't. Anthony Gordon or Eze? Gordon. At 7.5, I love Gordon. I think he's a great option. Now he's on pens. He takes some set pieces. I want to watch at the weekend as well. Does he take set pieces or does Trippier take them? Because if Gordon is on pens, set pieces, and he looks good going forward, he's ticking all the boxes that Semenyo does. He's suddenly becoming a major talisman for that Newcastle team if he has all those things. In which case, for their long-term fixtures, I want to find a way to buy him. But I don't want to react to it just from a Champions League game. I'll let this game go, and yeah, we'll see. Best 4.4 defender, not Sunderland or Leeds. You've got 2 options, and they're both playing for West Ham. Diouf or Kilman, depending if you want to go DEFCON or you want to go attacking threat. And they looked much better, and they will be better defensively under Nuno. Where are we? Would Gabriel Doubt put me off the bench boost? Tonali takes set pieces. Okay. Well, I just want to have a look at Gordon again this weekend. Would Gabriel Doubt put me off bench boost? Probably not. No. Don't think so. It would increase the level of doubt. Yeah. I would say it has to. But I still don't think it would change it. If you're happy with your bench boost, then if you're in the position where you're not completely happy with your bench, and then you've got Gabriel and maybe someone else you're not 100% certain of, then maybe it would put me off. Yeah. Being realistic, if I was in the position, would I want to bench boost with Gabriel? Maybe not. Even though I think he does play, probably just adds too much doubt in my mind. Start Xavi, Simmons or Richards. I would still play Xavi Simmons. I know we're in the DEFCON era, but I would still play Xavi Simmons there. You can only start 3 of these. Caicedo, João Pedro, Van der Ven and Van Dijk. I'd probably bench Van der Ven and Van Dijk. But if you need a defender, I'd bench Van der Ven and probably João Pedro. Can I elaborate on the Caicedo, João Pedro? It's really close. I just think Caicedo's almost certain to get DEFCON, right? And now he might get booked, but let's say he doesn't. So let's say he gets 4 points. Caicedo has to score, basically. Because if João Pedro gets an assist and Caicedo gets DEFCON, it's basically nothing. For it to be significantly better, João Pedro has to score. And I don't think the the goal scorer chances for Caicedo are high enough. I think... yeah. It's quite close. And I don't blame you if you play João Pedro. Maybe that's what I would do. But I think statistically, you're better off playing Caicedo. What to do with Cody Gakpo? He's a fine keep, but I wouldn't want him that long term, no. Would the weather put me off the bench boost? No, I don't think so. We get rain. It rains all the time. This is partly, though, I'm not using my free hit. Because it's only the 3rd of October and we're already seeing weather talk. All it takes is there to be 1 week where there's a storm and one game gets called off where you've got players in and suddenly the free hit looks great. Finley, is it worth Richards or Caicedo over João Pedro due to his form and he's playing Liverpool? We get AFCON transfers in 16. So game week 15, you need to use all your transfers. And Richards or Caicedo over João Pedro, I think it's close. I wouldn't blame you. But if João Pedro scored against Liverpool and you've started Richards and he concedes, you'd look at yourself a bit like, well, yeah, should have played the attacker. But if João Pedro fails to score against Liverpool, which looks quite reasonable, then you just want the higher floor. I still think I'd play I'd play João Pedro over Richards, but maybe not over Caicedo. Caicedo or Grealish? I'd play Grealish, I think. Thoughts on Ndai to Doku? Cheers. It doesn't feel like a transfer you need to race to do because I feel like that mid-price midfielder spot is changing every single week, which is the one we want. If you'd have wildcarded in 5, you probably wouldn't have gone Ndai. Wildcard 6, you went Ndai. Wildcard 7, you're going Gordon or Enzo. Like Enzo next week. There's going to be a different mid at that price. So I kind of just would be a little bit more patient on it. Looking at these Newcastle fixtures, like, let's just take out Ndai. Oh, I'm in game week 11, so that doesn't. Ndai out to Gordon. These just long-term fixtures. This is why I like. I would say until, like, if you cut it in game week 23 before they play Liverpool, apart from game week 12 where they play City, like he's got Chelsea at home, Man United away in 17 and 18, but just look at that fixture run. So good. Really wish I'd gone with him now. I mean, I couldn't have gone with him because I don't have the money, but yeah. On free hit, don't know which Villa keeper will play. I mean, you could go both. It doesn't really help you. I'd be more inclined to just go one, and I'd be more inclined to go Bizzo because he's cheaper and invest that 0.5 in like a good backup. So you could go, who's another 4-5? I mean, there's not actually that many. Like, you could pick the Brighton keeper, just have a good backup. I'd be more inclined to do that, I think, because I'd rather that than Martinez, Dubravka, if you've only got the money for it. You wildcard last week and added Isak. Would I hold? I would, because I think Ekatike might be on the bench, but I don't think he starts. I don't think he starts. No music. I don't normally have music during the stream, but I can have a nice bit of backing music. It was too loud. Is that better? It's just because I had it. Because I have it to access because it's the intro music. It's the only song. And I have it because it's copyright. On YouTube, you can't play music unless it's copyright free. Now it's too quiet. There we go. There we go. I did think about changing my intro music, but sorry. I did think about changing it for once, but no. Backline is Gabriel, Van Dijk, Munoz, and Porro. Who do I sell Porro to Senesi for a hit? No, not this week. Not for a hit. Micah, let me take a look. Let me scroll up. Would I sell Tarkowski for Gabriel this week? You have Van Dijk instead of Gabriel. The rest of the defense is the same as yours. For free, I would, yeah. For free, I would, yeah. So if you're wildcarding, do I add Gabriel or Saliba? I'd go Gabriel on wildcard, especially because on wildcard you have a great first sub if anything was to happen. So yes, your back line is, yeah, we've done. Bench boost, Caicedo, Van der Ven, Alderete, and Dubravka. If you're happy just to hit a 12-point bench boost and you don't really care, then yes. But I don't think that's the bench boost that's got the possibility to hit a 20, 25 pointer. But if you're happy with 12, I think the floor of that bench boost is quite high. So that's up to you. I think it will score somewhere between 8 and 14. So if you're happy with that range, then yes. Can I do a captaincy poll? I did one and it was 90% Haaland. So, fella, just imagine it's there and it's got Haaland 90%, everyone else, a few on Saka, a few on Gyökeres, the rest in other. What would I rate Vert's time and Liverpool so far out of 10? From an FPL point of view, it's all I can speak from. It's not been great. He's rivaling Nkunku and Kwanzaa. He's in the same camp. Every season there's one. Start Anderson of Fulham or Alderete. So I think I'd start Alderete because I think what's more likely if you're looking between a Fulham defender or a Sunderland defender, what's more likely? Bournemouth failed to score or Man United stink it up and they failed to score. I think the United failing to score is more likely than Bournemouth failing to score. So I would probably bench, I'd probably play Alderete, I think. Bench Van Dijk or João Pedro. I'd play João Pedro over Van Dijk, but maybe I'm a biased Chelsea fan in that. Rate your bench boost if it was this week. Yeah, I would still save it for 11, I think, if this was my team. Bench Kudus, Mateta, Reinders, Bruno or Rodgers. Probably Mateta, just based off the fixture. But I don't love that. I'd play Kudus, probably. Yeah, I'd play them. Would I consider a Haaland triple captaincy this week? So I have discussed this. I don't have the gut feel on it to play the triple. And I honestly can't put anything else to it apart from I don't have that. Haaland looks great. City look great. Brentford look bad defensively. I cannot do anything to put you off playing the triple captain on Haaland. I just don't have the gut feel on it. And I can't put it down to anything else. Xhaka or Senesi. I know you wanted Gordon, but he's kind of pricey. You wouldn't change him for Semenyo or Saka. No, it would be more in my team doing like Illiman and Dye to Gordon. I'm 0.3 short of that transfer, I think. For anyone who doesn't use Plan FPL, by the way, they also have an app and they've just rolled out a lovely new update, which looks like this. But if you click this show ratings, you get this lovely optimized lineup button, which just quickly like tells you which players you should technically start. You can, of course, make your own decisions, but it's just quite useful for me to change, and it does your captaincy and stuff like that. What was I going to say? Oh, and Dye to Gordon. I'm 0.3 short of that. And I think the obvious place to take that money would be Raya or Tarkowski. And I don't plan on doing a goalkeeper transfer the week after wildcard. I would say Tarkowski. I was also listening to the Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents this week, where they had Everton, and he said he was surprised so many people were buying Tarkowski. Feels his price is too high. Paul, I had to use bench boost, use wildcard in 6, or who should I bench? Mukiele's fine. Caicedo's fine. I wouldn't bench boost that, I don't think. It's close though. I think you haven't Dye, but you do have Tarkowski. I think I'd look at bench boost 8. If you don't have much Everton, bench boost 8 looks nice. Who should you replace Alisson with if he's injured? I would just go Raya, I think. Raya or Pope. Bench 1 of Rutter, Tarkowski or Richards. Probably Richards. I like the Rutter fixture this week. And although his minutes are a little bit... This is also just... Minte has been great and he plays a lot of minutes, but... When was the last time we liked owning a Brighton player? I just feel like it's been a while. I just feel like they're always getting knocks and then we don't hear anything in the press conference and then they never play. But yeah, anyway. One of the really random, right? But one of the, I would say cleverest, but it never works, things that people do in the chat is they write as if they are sending a super chat. So they put $7.99 from and then they quote it pretending that it is. But all it does is make me read it and then answer the question below it. So this one was from that, but below is Tarkowski down to who? It'd be down to Dan Burn. Right. Anyway, bench boost with Ilman and Dye, Pedro and Porro. Yes, I would definitely. If that's your bench, definitely. If I had the money in the bank, would I do Ilman and Dye to Gordon this week? I would be very tempted. Sorry, I'm not on the right screen. Would I? I would like to say yes, I would. Yeah. But I don't know where I'd get the money for the second transfer. And I think selling Tarkowski is the right option. I don't know. If you needed, if you had my team, and you needed to free up 0.3, would it be Tarkowski to Burn? Is what I just know it's going to be. I think it's the obvious move. I think it would be Tarkowski to Burn. People will probably sell Bruno. Raya to Pope. Yeah. Any press conference updates? So let's go through a few bits from yesterday. João Pedro, I think, is fully going to be okay. I wouldn't worry about that. Mitoma is a doubt. Muniz of Fulham is out, and Jimenez is also a doubt, which does boost the Bournemouth defence. Ekitike is planning on training today, but Alisson is out until at least after the international break. Gabriel has been pictured in training, but Arteta has said that the turnaround is quite fast. I think Gabriel starts personally, but I am guessing. This is 1 week after Harry said he wouldn't make any defensive transfers. This is true, but I did say I was allowed one. I did say I was allowed one. And it was meant to be for Van Dijk. But maybe I just take the cheaper ones if Liverpool are going to defend how they've defended. Ross. Right, let's go. Hassan. You have your team pre-wildcard with 3 frees. Should I use 3 free transfers and keep the wildcard at break, or wildcard now? 3 true fans keep Villa. I'd probably wildcard 8. Still prefer wildcard 8 to wildcard 7. Peter, let me take a look. Best transfer for Milenkovic, Senesi, or an Arsenal defender? I'd go Arsenal defender first if you've got the money for it. Bench Pedro or Caicedo. It's so close. Do you want the higher chance of the upside or the higher floor? That's basically what you're picking between. Do you want the chance of a 7, 8, 9 pointer, but most likely a 2? Or do you want a 4 pointer? Is basically where we're at. The thing is, Caicedo loves to get booked in games like this as well. That's the only other thing. So maybe that would be enough to say, just start João Pedro. But Livramento probably not starting, strengthened by the overall Newcastle defence. It does hamper them a little bit. But Lewis Hall's pretty close to fitness, though. Wildcard 8 for one more game week from Bruno. What Rodgers or just wildcard now? No Arsenal. You've got Haaland, 2 Bournemouth, Anderson, and the rest is dodgy. If you've still got some Spurs, I think that's fine. I think I'd wildcard 8 still. Sorry. Keep Salah or get rid. I'd only sell Salah if you need the money. The Chelsea-Liverpool game will be chaos. You can see a red card from either team. It's most likely us with the way that we are getting red cards. Walter for João Pedro. I personally wouldn't do that transfer. Walter is a better pick this week for sure, but I still back João Pedro long term. Rosso, let me tell you, you have 1 free transfer. Would I do Gakpo to Enzo or Gordon or someone else? Or Sanchez to Raya, Porro to Gabriel, or Wood to Mateta? I wouldn't do those last ones. I prefer Gordon to Eze. I just prefer Gordon to Eze. Yeah. Like if you're going Gakpo to Eze, I don't mind it. I still think Eze plays the majority of games, but I think Gakpo to Gordon I'd prefer. Gordon is in my top midfielders to buy when it comes around in a moment in the top right. Was Eze is not. A reminder that in the top right, we have all the useful information for the game week. We've got top goalkeepers to buy, ranked 1 to 5. We've got top defenders, top midfielders, forwards. We've also got a list of differentials, lower owned players across a variety of positions you can buy. Hot topic, we'll have a bit of injury news. If you're looking for what my thoughts on Gabriel are and João Pedro, it is in the top right-hand corner and will be up in a minute. We've got start versus benching for 17 of the most popular start versus benching players. And then we have a start and bench goalkeeper ranking if you are looking to wonder who to start. Planned Watkins to Haaland in game week 8. Do it now instead. Yeah. I like his... Sorry, I'm twiddling my ring right in the camera. Plan Watkins to Haaland. Like, I would love to keep Watkins this week, but if Watkins out is your only route to buy Haaland, I prefer Haaland. Short, long, medium, 1 game week. Yeah. Who's the best Arsenal defender to bring in for 1 game week? Calafiori, if you're on wildcard 8. If not, I still like Gabriel the most. Do I think Dorgu will start? Yes, I do. Would I bench boost my bench? I think I'd save it. I think I'd bench boost 11 if I had this bench. But you could just get rid of it because all it takes is 1 injury, and then that 1 extra transfer means I'd rather do it now. And although it might not be a hit, that transfer might force a hit later down the line. So effectively, you're a transfer worse off if you save it to 11 if anything happens. So I have no issue with just playing it now. Good evening, everyone. It is just about an hour to go until the deadline. So if you haven't liked, we are just about 4 likes away from 1,000. So if you could drop a like, that'd be great. And also subscribe if you are new to the channel, and welcome. Hope you're having a very nice Friday. We are also going to put it into subscriber only mode. You literally have to subscribe for 1 second to start using the chat. If you want to continue asking questions or whatever, for the last hour, it always goes into subscriber only mode. As I say, you literally have to press it, and 1 second later, you can use the chat. Free hit or wildcard. I don't love the free hit 7. If you're gonna free hit, if you're gonna free hit a wildcard, it means you're gonna wildcard 8. In which case, I'd just prefer to wildcard 7. I think, unless your team is very specific, where you could get away in 8 by not wildcarding. But yeah. Which replacement for Gakpo on wildcard 8? If you need a Gakpo replacement, it's Gordon or Eze. Basically, it's either of them. Either of them. Would I bench boost Dubravka, Richards, Konza, or Gakpo? Konza, Richards. Probably. Konza's good this week. It's just DEFCON just means he's not the greatest long-term pick. Reason for the bench order? Yeah, actually, I should have Stack and Anderson the other way around, I think. I think Anderson's my weakest. But this is it. This is part of the reason I went with what I went with, because it just gives me the depth if anyone was to get injured. Carl, I've already bench boosted. I bench boosted last week. Bruno Fernandes to Saka or Gordon free. I think I'd just keep Bruno for 1 more week. Do I think Gabriel will start? Yes, I do. But I'm guessing. Have I looked at Gordon's numbers? I mean, his numbers are low this year. But last year, there were definitely times where we owned him. Would I do Ilman and Die to Gordon in 1 move? But he's got pens added, which does boost him. Would I do Ilman and Die to Gordon in 1 move? 2 free transfers and you have exact cash for 1 move. I probably would. If I'm honest, if I had exact money for Ndai to Gordon, I would be really, really tempted. I'd be very tempted to do it. Yeah. I just look at those. I've got major FOMO of Anthony Gordon, which is just a weird thing to have. But just like look at those fixtures. The only one that's a worry that would have a fear factor applied to it is game week 12. City at home, which is at home straight after an international break for Man City. They haven't created that much, but Andy B saying his attitude is much better. I mean, he did get sent off in game week 2, but apart from that, his attitude is much better. But I agree. I just have the idea of buying some players which just look great long term. If you look at the fixtures, if we just skip to game week 12, is only thing is the week he plays City, but I can play a back four that week. If I wanted to bench Reinders, if I've still got Bruno at this point, surely not. Surely I can't get to game week 12 and still have Bruno. Ekatike injury update. He has trained today, but I don't think he'll start. I expect Isak to start and Ekatike to be on the bench. It was just cramp. Start Esteve or Diouf, or keep Dewsbury Hall with your 1 free transfer before, or sell. I'd probably sell Dewsbury Hall. I don't know how much money you've got, but I'd probably just look to take an exciting punt on something. Even if it was something random like Zubamendi, and just have a bit extra of Arsenal cover if everyone else doesn't. Gabriel knock. I mean, he's not a knock. He's been pictured in training today, so yeah. I just, the Gabriel thing, if he doesn't play, it's based purely off the fact that they don't want him to go on international duty, not because he's injured. Please help. Do I start Tarkowski or Mark Gay this week? Well, I've got Tarkowski over Richard, so I'd say Tarkowski. Walter King or Isidore Minte? Walter King? Is there any way you can go Walter in a 5 million, or at least a 4.5, a 4.9? You can get Longstaff. Droid, let me take a look. Would I bench boost Sanchez? Have you got Rodgers on your bench? You're bench boosting. I can't believe Rodgers is in your weakest 11, but if you've got Rodgers on your bench, I think it's worth bench boosting for him purely alone. So yes, but with the other bits still, yes, I would. And then if you're wildcarding in 8, you don't have to worry about it. So yes, I would. Any Palmer news? He's not going to play this week. He might be back in game week 8, although I'd be surprised. Sounds like they're wondering about giving him surgery or just managing it. And the managing it hasn't gone very well. So would I start Evan Nielsen or Reinders? I'd play Evan Nielsen. I like Reinders, but he's an easy bench if you've got a tough decision, I think. Prioritize buying Gordon or Saka. Saka's better than Gordon, yeah. But there's a lot of value between it. When Gordon gets a return this week, and then I buy him next week, I just want to say that it's not reactionary to that. It's me being reactionary to the game midweek rather than reactionary to this weekend. Yeah. Hopefully it's not too reactionary. Should I make a transfer for a -4, Thomas? Or is your team good? Dubravka, Senesi, Porro, Rodon, Timber, Semenyo, Kudos, Reinders, Haaland, João Pedro, Gyökeres bench, Anderson, Palmer, Dewsbury Hall. I think it's fine. I'd keep Palmer and see if he's back after the break, although I don't think he probably will be. Yeah, basically. I don't think he will. I think you'll probably be selling him next week, but it might be that you want to go Salah next week as an example. What do I think of Pino? I like him as a pick. He's actually, I was listening to a podcast or a Palace fan talk saying he's been very unlucky not to get the returns that he should have done. He feels like he's forcing it to try and get his first goal. So I don't mind it, but I still think there's other options I prefer proven in FPL. Bench 1 of Mbeumo, Van Dijk, or João Pedro. Mbeumo, Van Dijk, or João Pedro. I'd probably bench Van Dijk. Definitely play Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo is the biggest underperformer in the league so far. I can have a look for you. I'm pretty sure we did this in the video as well. Player stats. Outfield. You'll get a fresh look at the Fantasy Football Scout members area and how quickly everything loads now. It is really good. XG overperformers is Bowen. This is all matches. Bowen has scored 3 goals from 0.81 XG. Bowen is someone we'll have a look at in future weeks. Oh, it's not. Oh, he's not the biggest underperformer anymore. Maybe it's XGI. Yeah, XGI. His XA is quite high. He hasn't had a single assist yet, and he should have done. But part of that will be the pen. Eze for Virgil van Dijk and have 5 in defence. I'd play Eze over Van Dijk, definitely. Richarlison has great fixtures, stats, and Solanke is injured. So Solanke apparently is not that far away. It might be game week 8 that he's back. It might be later, but Kolo Muani is close. And Kolo Muani will be back in game week 8. And Richarlison is playing too many minutes. He will start to lose minutes when the others are back. Bench Munoz or Grealish. I probably would play Munoz out of the two because he has good attacking threat and he has the clean sheet potential. Bench Williams or Dorgu. I'd definitely play Dorgu. If you've held Dorgu this long at home to Sunderland, I would play him. Oh, sorry. Let's just check the Man United predicted lineup for you all. Yeah, Dorgu. Because I believe Dallo is still out. Fish and chips for tea tonight. I'm actually having spaghetti bolognese tonight. And I've made a cake. Although I didn't put it in the oven because I just made it straight before this stream. And it's now just sitting, waiting to go in the oven. Oh, Dallo's back. Ahmad's the one that's back. I apologise. I still would play Dorgu, yeah. Mike, let me take a look. Apologies. Am I at all torn on starting Richards over João Pedro? I just like the attacker. I know we're DEFCON and the floor is higher, but I'm still going to take the Chelsea striker, who I still think could be on penalties playing at home. I'm still going to pick that every day, even if the predicted points might say that a 4.5 defender with DEFCON is better. I'm clutching onto something away from DEFCON, and I'm playing João Pedro over Richards. Eze, Calafiori, Pope, or Saka rode on Petrovic? Probably the Eze option, but I still think he might be an issue further down the line. Gabriel in for Anderson, Goodmanson, or Roll. I'd want Anderson long term, so I'd rather sell Goodmanson. Yeah. Foden, captain, scored a hat-trick against Brentford. Pep's just been really nice about Foden, and we all know what that means. It means he's going to get benched. No, I'm sure Foden will start, but I wouldn't triple captain Foden, personally. How sure am I that Gabriel's going to play? Not that sure. 70%. Maybe slightly higher, 75. I think there's a decent chance he doesn't, given that if he doesn't, he gets the international break off and they should be able to win without him. But sell Bruno to Saka for free. Yes, I suppose. I haven't been that on board with the transfer, but the more I think about it, if you've got the money, I probably would. Bring in Foden or Gordon. Gordon. I really like Gordon. I'm going to get it wrong and he's not going to end up being good, but I quite like it. I think it just has a lot to Someone's worried about my cake. Well, I hope it'll be all right. Fernandez to Saka. Yeah, we've spoken about it. I probably would if you've got the money. Hello from Thailand. Hello. Hello to wherever you are all over the world. If you are in Australia and it is, or that side, and it is, or anywhere, and it is the middle of the night, I appreciate you all tuning in to the stream. If that's you, say hello in the chat. Put a little flag of where you are. Let's play a flag and what time zone it is. Fun with flags. Hello from Sydney. Hello. João Pedro to Voltamada, I would not do. Why no bench boost? A lot are with worse benches. I've already played my bench boost. I played it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of flags now. But thank you. There's a lot of them. Right, back to it. There's a lot of you wondering. Let's do a little bit of a roundup. João Pedro, I would probably start him over a 4.5 defender unless it's a Gabriel or a Senesi or something, because I still would just take the attacker. It might not be the data-driven route, but I still would do it over playing a back four. I do think Gabriel will play, although there is a bit of a risk in terms of the weather. I would be a little bit concerned if there was an orange or red weather warning, but in the UK it is yellow and it's not going to change tomorrow. I wouldn't worry about the weather. João Pedro, I'd play. Gabriel, fine. If you're on bench boost, there is a lot of bench boost questions. My conclusion with bench boost is, if you've already wildcarded, I would not plan to save your bench boost any later than game week 11, which is before the next international break. If even one thing changes where you're forced to use a transfer on a player on your bench for part of the bench boost, you are better off having have played it, because I don't think there is that much to split the bench boost. So if you're looking at your bench and you think, yeah, it looks good and all your starting players look good, I do not have a problem with playing it. My team looks best in game week 11, but all it takes is for, let's say, Stack to be a doubt or Stack to not keep his place, and then I have to use a transfer, in which case the point or the one projected point more than I might get is not worth using the transfer. So I have no issue with playing it this week. I have no issue if you want to play it this week and just get rid of it. I am very happy that I don't have to worry. Like if I was looking at this and I'm going, do I bench boost it? I'm just quite glad it's done. And if you want to be in that position where you just get it out the way, I'm just going to text Holly. Why go for Everton against Palace? I'm wondering about that now. I'm wondering a little bit about double Everton, but I'm not using my two transfers before the international break to sell them. But I might do it after. The other reason is I don't want to do it is because if suddenly it looks like we want to buy Salah, And so, sorry, if we want to get to a point where we're buying Salah and I've suddenly used all my transfers and I've only got one transfer in game week 8, yeah, I think it's just best in my position just to not do it this week. You don't have to be the first on every player. Eze, Rice or Gordon. Gordon. You have 0 at Arsenal. You're going to wildcard in 8. Gyökeres, Gabriel or Raya in this week. You have Sanchez, Williams or João Pedro. I mean, I actually think Gabriel in is probably the biggest upgrade there. But I would go Calafiori just for the certainty of a start, because of course there is a little bit of doubt about Gabriel. So if you're on wildcard 8, I'd buy Calafiori. Please advise, play Tarkowski or Romero. Tarkowski. Actually, that's quite close. What did the data say that I looked at? Probably take a chance on Romero, to be honest. Palace are pretty good. Triple captain Haaland. I don't have anything negative to say if you want a triple captain Haaland. If I could bench one out of Ndai or João Pedro, who would it be? I think I'd rather bench João Pedro. Tempted to start a Leeds player in stack. I just don't know who I'd bench for him. Yeah, really. So no, maybe it should be Reinders. I'm not that, high on Reinders, but yeah. Why not Timber over any Arse defender? I think just for this week, I'd rather Calafiori. I feel like his open play threat is higher than Timber's generally, and Calafiori played no minutes midweek, whereas Timber, the Ben White sub, does happen quite a lot. Now, you might get lucky with Timber that he might play 70, goes off, and then West Ham score, and you might see that as a positive, but I think I'd rather take the minutes, which I think you get from Calafiori. Rank between Cunha, Bruno, and Mbeumo. Cunha's bottom. Bruno, then Mbeumo. Is Gordon a wait and see for this week? Will he play 90 after the Champions League? Well, that's another thing. I just want to make sure that his minutes are as reliable as I've hoped they would be, basically. Gabriel yellow flagged. What to do? I think he'll be fine. Yeah. If I hadn't bench boost, I'd have bench boost in 11, I think would be my plan. Gordon's fresh after his ban. Oh, I fully expect him to play this weekend, yeah. No concern for Gyökeres' minutes. A slight one, actually. I still think he starts, but there's not much I can do about it. I'm not going to not start Gyökeres at home to West Ham. It was part of the reason of buying him last week. Is this felt like a good entry point, although with the new manager, Nuno, it might not feel quite like that. Yeah. And die down to Minte. I don't think it's worth a transfer just for an international break where you might want your transfers after it. I'd be more inclined to roll, and I actually think I'm more likely to go Gordon and die up as an upgrade. Why not Bruno vice captain? I just don't trust him, and I don't trust Man United right now. Him being in my team is enough of a stress based off what he's done recently, but yeah, I don't trust him enough, I would say, is my reasoning. Order of keepers to start this week. We do have a keeper benching rotation in the top right. It will be up for you in a moment. Play one of Van de Ven, Gay, and Tarkowski. I believe all of them are in the benching decisions. Tarkowski, I'd start. Probably would bench one of the other two. Again, the top right, Gabriel has been pictured in training. João Pedro, I also expect to play. Benching ranking for a lot of the players being asked in the chat is in the top right. If they are not, like João Pedro or Calvert-Lewin, I'd play João Pedro, I think. Fernandes for Saka, I don't mind that transfer. Don't mind it. If you want to do it and you've got the money for it. If I had Kudos instead of Stack, would I bench boost this week? Probably. Probably. I do think Kudos is better than Stack as a pick, yeah. Van Dijk or Munoz to start. Munoz, definitely. Anderson of Forest or Johnson. I can't remember if Johnson started midweek. If Johnson did start on Tuesday, then I'd play Anderson. If Johnson didn't start, then I'd play Johnson. Harry without glasses. Is Porro a sell? I don't think he's a priority because I think he will. I think he'll play this week. So I don't think you've got to like rush to sell him. I think he'll start. He just needed a rest. Have I not got the Palace defence in my benching ranking? I do. They're number 10. I would love if you did a draft league segment for waiver options that haven't got high ownership each week. I don't play draft, so I have very little thought about how it works. I have wondered about doing draft content, but like if I did a draft against Ross and Oscar and others, whether people would care, probably not. Senesi missing from your benching ranking. Oh, because I'd just start him. He's above them all, basically, apart from the Arsenal defence. Yeah. You expect it to be Spence and Udogie as the starting fullbacks. I don't. I'm pretty certain Porro will start, given he got a rest last weekend. And they struggled creatively without him. Dorgu or Anderson. I'd start Dorgu over Anderson, I think. Any press conference news? We have been through bits, but Gabriel has been pictured in training. There wasn't much mention of João Pedro. Mitoma is a doubt. Murillo looks like he's injured himself again. Classic Ange racing players back when they're not ready. But anyway, Mateta or Bowen. I would go... I like Bowen from next week. I don't have money for Bruno to Saka. Unfortunately, if I did, I'd consider it, but yeah, I'd have the money for it. Yeah, I would have to use my second transfer to free up money, and I don't want to use both before an international break. Would I have Bruno on wildcard? Probably not. Richarlison to Gyökeres or roll. I would do Richarlison to Gyökeres, yeah, if you can. If you've got the money for that. Gyökeres or Saka on wildcard. I still like Gyökeres slightly more than Saka, and I also think it's better for squad structure and depth if you go Gyökeres. Because Gyökeres in a 5 million mid is like $1 million cheaper than going for the other combination. Like Saka and a cheap forward is a lot less. Sorry, Saka and a cheap forward is a lot more expensive than Gyökeres and a cheap mid, because Saka is like $1 million more than Gyökeres, and then the cheap forward, I mean, you could go for Foster, but you're probably going to go for Strand Larson or for a Thiago. Maybe you drop down to a Calvert-Lewin, in which case it's so much more expensive. I'm dodging the triple captain question. We've spoken about it a little bit earlier. I have no problem with it. I just don't quite have the gut feel in a away fixture to do it, but they've been pretty bad so far this season. So particularly defensively, Brentford, and actually at home, their numbers are even worse. So yeah, if you want to go for the triple captain, that's fine by me. That's fine by me. Cool. Hope you're well. Is Dubravka, Dorgu, Konza and Wood worth the bench boost? Yeah, if you've got Dorgu at home to Sunderland and Konza at home to Burnley on your bench, I would bench boost that. Plus Wood didn't start, so should start away at Newcastle. Yes, I would do that, yeah. Definitely would bench boost that. That is probably one of the best bench boosts I've seen this week. Why do you oppose to making a transfer after the wildcard? Well, part of the reason you've wildcarded is hopefully to pick some players who are better long term. And you need to start rolling transfers after you've wildcarded because you're not going to wildcard again for another 20 weeks, probably at a minimum. So I like the thought of rolling it. Plus, it's the week before an international break. God, I keep knocking my mic. It's the week before an international break. So if you can carry them into the international break and then have all the information going into the week after, I would probably. So yeah, I've got nothing against the triple captain if you want to play it. Porro and Gakpo to Gabriel and Saka for a hit. So Porro to Gabriel for a hit is not something I do. Based off the question, you can do Gabriel to Saka for free. Gakpo to Saka for free. And that's fine. But I wouldn't do Porro to Gabriel for a hit because you can split those transfers into two parts because one doesn't free up money for the other. Bench João Pedro or Caicedo. I think at the start I said probably bench João Pedro, but as time's gone on, I think I'd bench Caicedo and play the striker. I'm on free hit. Would I suggest going for Calafiori over Gabriel? Yes, I would. Calafiori would be in my free hit team. Yeah. Same squad as you. What about Tarkowski to Burn for a punt? I don't dislike it. I don't think it's that much of an upgrade that I definitely need to do it this week, probably. Although I have been impressed by Burn. I just want to see how they defend without Livramento in the team. Mamadashvili on wildcard for bench boost 9. I just don't think I'd do it. I'd rather go for someone else who's going to be in your team long term, and then you're not going to have to sell when Alisson comes back. So no. We don't even know if Alisson's going to be out for game week 9. So no. I wouldn't. So let's have a look. People asking about my team. I've been in the same every week, all week. I'm just going to roll my transfer this week. Basically. Roll the transfer. Roll. Van de Ven and Richarlison to Burn and Larson. I don't think you need to make those transfers this week. So no, I'd probably just wait. If you have a list, I know you have a list so torn between benching João Pedro and Reinders and Richards versus Van de Ven. Can you give me some reasoning logic behind these? I'd play Reinders over João Pedro just because the fixture is much better and I do think City will score goals and Reinders is very involved. And I think João Pedro will struggle. I don't expect Chelsea to score a lot of goals. Richards versus Van de Ven. Leeds have been quite good, particularly at home. They have created chances. I think Spurs have been quite fortunate defensively to get the points they have. And Palace just look great defensively. If I hadn't already have bench boosted, I'd either do it in now or game week 11 would be my choice. Now, if you just want to get rid of it. 11 if you want to risk that nothing goes wrong between now and then. Basically. Where are we at? Kieran, thank you for 13 months as a member. Welcome back. Here we are, 13 months. Thank you. Dubravka or Sanchez? I'd play Dubravka over Sanchez. Triple captain Watkins? No. I would not do that. I don't trust Villa enough to play the triple captain. If you want to captain him, fine. You want to own him, that's fine for this week. But I don't think I'd be putting the triple captaincy on him. So no. Beginning to wonder whether it's better to start Richards over Tarkowski this week. I don't think there's much in it, but I don't think I want to play Richards against Illiman and Dye. It just feels a little bit like I'm backing, I don't know what in that game. Yeah. If you want to become a member, someone in the chat asking, you can't find it. If you go over to my channel, it doesn't always work on mobile. It's not available on all mobiles. So if you go over on desktop or laptop or whatever the word is, go to my channel and there should be a join button as long as you're subscribed. Best Arsenal triple up. Gabriel, Saka, Gyökeres, probably. Start Sells or Dubravka. Sells over Dubravka. Alderete or Van de Ven, Pedro or Reinders. Their full benching ranking is up in the top right-hand corner. Now, lots of people asking about, should I start player A or should I start player B? And it is up there for you to have a look at to decide. If you are also enjoying the stream, if you found anything useful, there are 5,000 of you in this stream who have not yet dropped a like on the stream. So if that is one of those 5,000, maybe even if 10% of you could like, that would be much appreciated. And subscribe if you are new as well. Anyway. Oh. Where were we? Minte or Rice? Probably Rice. Really thinking about the bench boost. You have Stack, Rodon, Andersen, and Dubravka. I don't mind it. If you want to just... if you want to get rid of the bench boost and it looks fine, I don't have a problem with that. Jared, lets me take a look. I apologize. Would I bench boost Dubravka, João Pedro, Porro, Stev, and do Sanchez to Raya, or roll to wildcard 8 and bench boost 9? You then have to set up... If you've got João Pedro and Pedro Porro on your bench, I'd bench boost it, yeah. I hope everyone enjoyed that little interlude. Vagalis, buy Arsenal, Calafiori, or Newcastle, burn, and sell Cucurella. If you've already wildcarded, I wouldn't buy Calafiori, but if you're on wildcard 8, I'd buy Calafiori. Rogers out for who? Sarr or Gordon? I wouldn't sell Rogers this week. I'd play him at home to Burnley. If I had to buy one, I'd buy Gordon over Sarr. Why not Van de Ven or for Gabriel? Why not Van de Ven in for Gabriel or sell? I would sell Van de Ven to Gabriel if you can afford it. Yeah. Yeah, I would. Start Caicedo or Reinders. Reinders. Reinders is top of my benching ranking. Reinders is right at the top of my benching ranking. Yeah. Would I bench João Pedro or Caicedo? I'm going to say I'm going to start João Pedro. I'm going to play the attacker. Should I bench boost Dubravka, João Pedro, Tarkowski, and Alderete? Probably yes. Just get it out the way. Salah, Guiu, Cunha, Minte, and Gyökeres. Salah, Guiu, and to Cunha and Gyökeres. Guiu. I don't mind that. But I think I'd just keep Salah. I'm not sure that's worth 2 transfers. Is there a discipline issue at Chelsea? I don't think so. Red card for... It's not like they're getting sent off for punching people. A red card for Sanchez as shouldn't have come out of his box. Bad decision. Chalobah was a bad back pass, and then Chalobah shouldn't have gone diving in. Fine. And João Pedro shouldn't have been sent off midweek. Charlie, if you are watching, I hope you and Eden are doing well, and I will see you tomorrow. Oh. It's a 100 experience. Thanks for answering your super chat. No worries. Fit Wave, let's have a look. Would I bench boost with your team but Caicedo for Stack? Probably not. I think Stack's better than Caicedo. I'd be more inclined to save it then because the Chelsea fixtures going forward are great. Grealish to Saka or Richarlison to Gyökeres. Grealish to Saka or Richarlison. I would say selling Richarlison is a better transfer, so I'd do that. Am I locked? I think I've been locked since about lunchtime on Saturday. We're just going to roll. If I had my team, I'd probably save the bench boost. Saar or Reinders? Reinders this week. Ekatike status, I think he'll be on the bench. He has trained today, apparently, though. That's what was said by Arne Slot in the press conference today. Right, let's add a little bit of slow-mo. The chat is starting to race a little bit. Start Xhaka or João Pedro. That's quite close. Because Xhaka has attacking threat. Probably Xhaka. I haven't got a branded bottle yet. I'm still working on getting there. Saar to Saka or a Charlison to Gyökeres. Sorry, Foden to Saka or a Charlison to Gyökeres. I'd keep Foden for the next two. If you punted on Foden, I would keep him for this week and the Everton game next week. Also, am I right in thinking Foden isn't in the England squad? Foden gets a nice break before Everton, so he feels very reliable for that start after the break. He's not in the England squad, which is a boost to them. Yeah, he isn't. Yeah, Haaland triple captain. I have absolutely no issue with the triple captain if you want to play it this week. So yeah, go for it. Is João Pedro not the ultimate punt? I mean, I like him. If you look at the Chelsea fixtures from game week 8 onwards, I think people will want a Chelsea player for that run. And I'm fine with keeping João Pedro for it. Salah versus Saka. Should I bring in Saka? I would only sell Salah now if you need the money for something else, right? So if you're in a position where you're doing Salah to Saka and it's just a straight swap, I wouldn't do the transfer. But if you're doing Salah to Saka in order to do Evanilson to Gyökeres, then yes, I would. Because if you're using the money for something else, I would. But straight A versus B, I don't think there's much in it, and I don't think it's worth it. Isak or Gyökeres? Gyökeres. I still don't think that Isak is a reliable pick yet. And I will die on this hill until it becomes true. Until Ekatike gets a proper injury. Would I do a -4 of Gyökeres or wait until next game week after performing against West Ham? It depends who you're selling, to be honest. If you're going to tell me you're going to do João Pedro to Gyökeres for a hit, I would say no. But if you're going to do Chris Wood to Gyökeres for a hit, I probably would. So it depends who you're selling. You have the same team, but you have Belieber instead of Stack with 0.1 in the bank. You can probably bench boost that. Belieber's got Wolves away, probably one of his better fixtures. If you've already wildcarded, if you haven't wildcarded, then maybe save it. But yeah. Belieber's an interesting one. His minutes at the beginning of the season were really ropey. He was going to be a great DEFCON player, but he hasn't played enough minutes to get it a lot of the time. So, yeah. Can I explain Dubravka over Sanchez? Just Villa played Thursday and they still didn't create that many chances. Chelsea without their main two centre-backs and Liverpool have got a point to prove. Sanchez doesn't make that many saves normally. So, Agbadu or Porro to start? Definitely Porro. I know people will worry. If you're a Porro owner who's worried a little bit because he didn't start last week, I wouldn't worry just because I think that was just a little bit of rotation with the amount of fixtures that he'd played. I don't think that's going to be the case moving forward, that he misses games often. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I wouldn't let it put you off. So we have, how long do we have? 15 minutes to go until the deadline. Sarr or Caicedo? Sarr. And died to Sarr. I don't think I'd use a transfer on it the week before an international break. I would just be cautious and not do it, personally. Bench one of Chris Wood, Alderette, Gakpo, or Virgil van Dijk. I'd probably bench Alderette, despite him getting a 17-pointer last week. Lots of you wondering about Haaland triple captain. I don't have an issue with it. Is all I can say. I'm not doing it. Partly because I don't have that sort of gut feel on it, and it's an away game. But apart from that, I have no reason to put anyone off triple captaining Haaland this week. And there's a lot more questions about it in the chat than I thought it would be. It's just quite interesting. I don't mind it. If you're wanting to play the triple captain on Haaland, I have no reason to put you off doing it. How about Watkins? If you've got Watkins, I'd hold him for one more week. Is Gabriel injured? Will he start? Gabriel is not injured, and I think he will start. He is being pictured in training today, so I have no real concerns about Gabriel. If he misses out, then it's rotation. It's not an injury. I think he'll start. Bench Sarr or João Pedro? I'd probably play Sarr over João Pedro. Captain Semenyo or Saka for a differential Saka. I still think the fixture tonight is quite difficult, and I wouldn't want to captain a Friday night differential captain. I feel like that has pain for the weekend written all over it. Yeah. Isak, thoughts? Isak, I think, will start against Chelsea, but I still think he's an issue going forward, and I think Ekitike has been better than Isak has. And I think there's too much risk there for a player who's 10.5 million and not going to be taking penalties anymore. Chris, bench one of Richards, Burn, or Stack? Not Burn. Probably Richards. I'd probably chance it on Stack at home to Spurs. I think. Where are we? Ooh. My little arm that I've got the mic on doesn't look very well. Looks a bit out of place. Anyway, we can fix that in 14 minutes after the stream. Eze, I think, is a fine short-term punt, but I don't think he's a great long-term pick. I still don't trust his minutes. Another question there about the Arsenal fullbacks. So, I think they're great this week, and they will start the majority of games, but they are more likely to miss out than a Gabriel is. So, if you can afford Gabriel, I would still look to go there. If I had to pick a fullback, I think I'd go Calafiori now. Just that Ben White Timber early sub all the time, whereas Calafiori feels like he's playing 90 or not playing at all is a little bit more reasonable. Maybe that's just based off what happens midweek, but I think I'd go Calafiori. He's also 0.1 cheaper. Number one Arsenal player to pick this week, Saka. Salah to Saka, or shall I roll? I would roll unless you're going to use the money on a second transfer. If anyone sees anything on Twitter, of course, do tag me in it. We are 13 minutes before the deadline. And there is of course, a game this evening, as there is after every deadline, Harry. But if you see anything that you want me to see that isn't just a question, if it's anything about an injury or a team news or anything, then you let me know. Just tag me in it. No bench boost. I've already played my bench boost. So, no. I probably wouldn't. Even if I had it, I think I'd wait until game week 11. Bench Ayari or Gay, I'd bench Ayari. Sanchez or Petrovic, I'd play Petrovic at home to Fulham. Raya or Pope. Raya. Raya probably, but if you need the money, I don't mind Pope as a second. Mateta or Pedro, still prefer João Pedro long term. Let's do some rapid fire questions. If you could just if you haven't, subscribe. If you could, we're going to do a few minutes of some rapid fire questions to try and get lots through. So if you could support the channel, that would be great. GW7, let me start with you. Back four, Porro, Gabriel, Burn, Senesi, or Esteval, and bench one. I'd probably bench Esteval, yeah. So, Virgil van Dijk or Rodon, I would play. A lot of them, if they're benching decisions, I'm going to leave them. Because if they're answered in my benching ranking, I will leave them because there are so many questions. So, if you want, check out the benching ranking in the top right. They are numbered from 1 to 17. 1 of being the best one to start, 17 being the worst one to start. So if they're not in that, then I will answer them. But if they are in that, then I will... Why not Gordon for Ndiaye? I don't have the money to do that. Will Rutter start? He's predicted to again. Yes, but he does get taken off early. Bench Munoz or Richards? In any specific game week, I would bench Richards and play Munoz. But long term, I think Munoz is not worth the money. Play Anthony or Reinders? I'd play Reinders. Haaland triple captain. I have no issue with the Haaland triple captain. I like the fixture. I like the form. I'm just not doing it because I don't have a gut feel on it, basically. I like to have a feeling on my triple captain, but I don't have it, and it's just an away fixture is my excuse. Defense from Spurs, I think they're absolutely fine, but I do think from game week 8, people will be looking to sell their Spurs defenders, but if you want them this week away at Leeds, I do think it'll be quite a cagey, low-scoring game. Agbadu or Anderson, I'd probably go for Anderson. Out of the two, Agbadu doesn't feel nailed. Tarkowski or Gvardiol, I would play Tarkowski because although Brentford have been bad, they have been scoring goals. Sarr or Iliman Ndiaye, I probably prefer to have Sarr long term. Do I prefer a Chinese or an Indian? Chinese is my favourite food in the world. It's quite possibly. Watkins or Gyökeres? Watkins this week, Gyökeres long term. Play Mark Gay or Tarkowski. I'd go Tarkowski. What's good about Saka? He's pretty nailed. He takes some set pieces. He's very reliable. Yeah. Minte or Caicedo? Minte. Timber and Xhaka or Gabriel and King on wildcard? I imagine Xhaka's not going to play for you, so I'd rather Gabriel. Where does Xhaka stand on the benching ranking? He would be probably quite high up. Probably just above, between Gakpo and Chris Wood, I'd say. Can I do dubbing in other languages? I actually don't know how to do that. If someone knows YouTube well enough and wants to tell me how I do that, then I would more than happily do it. Where's Dorgu? To be honest, if you've got Dorgu, I'd probably start him at home to Sunderland. Outside of Arsenal and maybe Spurs and Senesi. DCL or João Pedro, I'd play João Pedro. Foster or João Pedro, I'd play João Pedro. Would I transfer Isaac if you have him? No, I'd keep him for this and maybe look to sell him in game week 8. 7 minutes to go to the deadline. Don't miss the deadline. Foden or Reinders? I prefer Reinders long term, but in any specific week, Foden's better, but he's worth a lot more money. So Reinders is better pick in FPL, I'd say. Why start Pedro if you have two pointers in a row and is playing Liverpool? I mean, he's had a lot of points before that, and I still back him to be a good pick. Why not transfer out Bruno if he's not playing well? I might well do next week when he's got Liverpool away. João Pedro or Minte? I'd play João Pedro over Minte, I think. Reinders or Minte? Reinders. Thoughts on Dubravka, Senesi, Ragav, Van der Ven, Virgil. Yeah, I don't love the Zubimendi pick, but apart from that, it looks good. Salah, Vert, Wood to Haaland, Saka, Minte for a hit. Yes, I would do that, although it is selling Salah, but I like the other two transfers, and you need the money. 5 minutes to go until the deadline. Let's keep going with this. If you haven't liked or subscribed, there are 5,000 of you in who haven't done either of those, or actually haven't liked. You may well have subscribed. Saka starts. Maybe I should say I only answer questions from people who have liked the stream, and I can see it definitely tells me who's liked the stream or not. And if you haven't liked, then I definitely can't answer your question. Right. João Pedro or Enzo? I'd play João Pedro out of the two. Choose two from Virgil van Dijk, Schade, Matoma, Richards. I'd probably bench Matoma because he's a doubt, and Van Dijk. Why not Richards over Tarkowski? I don't want to play Richards against Iliman Ndiaye. Palace played on Thursday, and Tarkowski is better for DEFCON despite not getting it on Monday night. First up, Anderson, Stack, or Goodmanson. Probably Stack, then Anderson, and then Goodmanson. Anderson or Burn. I'd go Burn. Whichever Anderson it is, I'd still go Burn. Gordon for a hit? No. I don't know who you're selling, but I would say no. Who are Chelsea's starting centre-backs going to be? This week, it will be, I imagine it will be Badiashile and Achapong, but long-term, it will be two of Chalobah, Tosin, and Fofana. I wouldn't buy Chelsea centre-backs now. Xhaka or João Pedro to start? I probably would go Xhaka. Yeah. You saw Minte last week. He was all over the Chelsea. Why don't you rate him? I do like him as a pick. I do. I think he's in my top midfielders to buy. Oh, he's not. But he was in my longer list of top midfielders to buy this week. Yeah. At his price, he's great. No Liverpool players. No. I think there's a thing that we don't just need to buy a player if we want a player from the team. They need to still be good. So, yeah, so it's only really Van Dijk and Salah that I like. Mark, sure. Please don't ask for that in the chat. When am I going to triple captain? After game week 13. Van de Ven or João Pedro or Anderson. João Pedro. Alderette or Goodmanson. Probably Alderette. Verts for who? Top midfielders are there. If you can do Verts up to Saka, Gordon, another good pick. Semenyo if you don't own him yet. Where does Sarr fall in my benching ranking? He's pretty high up. He's probably just above Ndiaye. Senesi or Tarkowski. Senesi. Rodgers or João Pedro, I would start. If you've got Rodgers, if you've got Villa players, you feel like you've got to start them this week. Van de Ven or Burn, I'd play Burn. Let me get that benching ranking up again for you all. If you are looking for players to start, the majority of the highly owned, highly questioned ones are in here. And a lot of the ones being asked that aren't in here are probable starts. But yeah, that's up in the top right-hand corner for you now. Porro or Tarkowski. I'd probably take the chance on Porro. Gyökeres or Bowen for the next four. Gyökeres. Pedro for Waltemada, I don't think is worth a transfer. Morton, keep asking in the chat, would I triple captain? And I don't know who that player is, so no. unless I'm misunderstanding. Gabriel not benched. I think he'll start. Saka or Gyökeres long term. I still think Gyökeres probably. If I had to buy Gordon or Semenyo now, I still think I'd go Semenyo. Just because of no Europe. João Pedro or Bowen next 4. João Pedro, I still like him. Kudos, Pedro or Ndai is the question. In preference order this week? Kudos, Ndai, João Pedro. Keep Gakpo this week. Yeah, I would sell him if you've got a transfer. I like Gakpo to Gordon as a move. I like it. Achapong on free hit, definitely not. I mean, if he's going to be last on your bench, fine, but apart from that, no. Porro 2 points. Maybe. I mean, I think Leeds probably score, but I still like the chances he gives. Right. We are officially into the final minutes before the deadline. That is it. We're going to stop answering questions there. Please go and check your team. Lock in your transfers. Lock in your team. Make sure your captain is where it should be. This is where my team is at. We have got Raya, Tarkowski, Gabriel, Senesi, Reinders, Semenyo, Bruno and Dye, João Pedro, Vice-Captain Gyökeres, Captain Haaland, Richard Stack and Anderson. That is my team for game week 7. It is going to be the international break. Go and save your teams. Go and lock it in. Game week 7 lock. Hashtag FPL. Transfer rolled. Have a good weekend, everyone. Good luck and enjoy the international break. Sleep. Right, stick around because we do... Oh, it's not game week 7. It's not game week 6, is it? It's game week 7. It is not. Right, next up, we have a little game for everyone to play. Please, in the chat, drop a prediction for a player in the Premier League. Any player you think that I'm going to get in a pack that I'm going to open in just a moment. I want to see predictions in the chat. Going to a stag do in Bristol. Any recommendations? That's where I went with mine. I went to this like Austrian place and it was very fun from what I can remember. It was a bit late by then. Right. Let's see those player predictions in the chat. This, of course, is the club segment of this game. Club is a free-to-play game. It's a cross between FPL and sort of Ultimate Team, where every couple of hours you get a pack. If you like the player in your pack, you can add them to your lineup. But you just like FPL, you have a budget which you can't go over. Let's see who we're going to get and whether they get in my lineup or not. Let's see. Who's it going to be? Core. Oh, a goalkeeper. Oh, no. I don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. FPL have just tweeted. Deadline passed. Thank you very much. It is Areola. He is not getting in it. So my lineup for this week, let me know what you think. Rate it out of 10. Gyökeres, Semenyo, Iliman Ndiaye, Tonali, Simon, Stack, Eze on loan, Munoz, Lacroix, Calafiori, and Pope. Let's have a score out of 10 for that team. Let's see what you've got to say. Out of 10. 3, 7, 8.3, 7, so 8, 6 out of 7. Oh no. What have I done? I've fallen straight into your trap, George. I've fallen straight into your trap. Double Crystal Palace, not great. Got Eze on loan too. Is there anyone new in the loan store? Bowen? No, I don't want him. Right, if you do want to download it, there is the QR code up there. The league code is down there. We've got almost 2,000 of you in the league. Thank you all very much for your support. Everyone's saying that you absolutely love it, so I appreciate that. Let's go and play a bit of FPL Challenge, shall we? Let's go and play a bit of FPL Challenge. Also, if you haven't already, please join both the FPL Challenge Mini League, but also the overall Mini League. The codes are in the description. The codes are also above me in this sort of rotation bit. So, game week 7. Double points for clean sheets for goalkeepers and defenders. Who are we going with? 1 player per club. Let's hear some names. I'm going to do a wildcard video probably Monday, Tuesday. I go on holiday on Monday, so I'll have it recorded before I go, but it might be a Tuesday upload. But there will be one. Who are we going to go with? I can't go for the Villa goalkeeper anymore. Pope? I'm not allowed. I never pick players in my actual FPL team. Pope in goal, right. Defenders, we're going for a back 3. In goes Calafiori of Arsenal. Then we're going to go Porro. And then we're going to go for... Let's go Munoz. Into midfield. I've already gone. I'm going Salah. And I'm going Haaland. And I'm going to captain Calafiori. I'm going like this. What do we think? Ooh. We're going like this. Oh, I have Haaland in my team. Yeah, that's true. I can't go Haaland. Richarlison, Gyökeres, Watkins. We're going with it like this. I'm not looking for advice on my team. I want it like this. Sorry. Apologies if no one understood the reference. Yeah, Watkins. Is it only me that thinks I look like Pope? Someone said I looked like someone else the other day in one of my comments, and I don't think it was Pope. Correct, EO, correct. Bench boosting weird. Dubravka, Reinders, Stack, and Milenkovic. What do I think? Yeah, nice. I look like me. Me? I look like me. Or me. You. We look to, or I look like Ben me, but I of course I look like me. Because I am me. Yeah, no, enough of that. It's so sad with Ben me not being in the Premier League anymore. It's a real sad occurrence. Would I have done Sanchez or Dubravka? It's really close. I probably would have gone Dubravka. Sorry, Fiona. Sorry. Sorry. Anything anyone wants to talk about? We have 8 minutes until the lineup, so anyone got people they think they want to talk about? City defense going forward. The thing is, if you didn't invest for Burnley at home, it's probably not. They just leak goals. Do I play any video games? I don't play a lot. I go through a period of playing a lot of FIFA, EAFC. Just as the new one is launched, I normally play it quite a lot. And then my cake is in the oven. I have not seen any pigeons today. Haven't seen any pigeons today. I actually don't know the last time I saw a pigeon. I don't know the last time I can actively remember seeing a pigeon. I made a banana bread. I don't think it's ready. I think it's still in the oven, so I cannot show you. I don't play Champions League. If Ben Mee had been in the Premier League now, would you have him in your FPL team? No. It's been a while since I've owned him, but I still like to see him score. I do have a Chelsea season ticket, yeah. I'm actually not going tomorrow, though. My dad is going instead. My dad and my brother. Well, we have 2 season tickets as a family. But my parents don't live in London anymore, so it's normally me and my brother. But my dad is around, so he wanted to... Oh, no. Yeah. I'm still in Div 6. I haven't played very much. I'm more of a trader, really. But I've seen that there is a new Hanko SBC that's come out tonight, which he is in my team at the moment, and he will be getting completed. Apparently it's quite expensive, though. How much is he? 60k. Wow. Best flavor of fuel at the moment. Cookies and cream is my favorite, I think. I am getting through their drinks, though. Do I think a content creator will ever win FPL? I mean, statistically, no one you know will ever win FPL. So probably not. Oh, I don't ask Holly about Ange yet. We don't talk about that. It's not looking good. The new AFC is good, yeah. I think it's good. When am I going to bring in Saar? He's now fitting well. I've just owned him. I've just owned him and now I'm going to have to buy him back again. I think Liverpool will probably beat us 2-1. Here's my thoughts. Sorry, it is 5 minutes to go until the lineups come out. What are my thoughts on Anthony? I think his appeal is a little bit overhyped. Victor, yes, I like those. Predictions for today's game, I think it'll be quite low scoring. I actually think it might end 1-1. It depends who plays up front for Fulham. Yeah. If Fulham don't have a striker... If Fulham don't have a striker, maybe. I do Super Brew, yes. I have a... we have a members mid-tier plus competition on Super Brew every week, and we have a monthly prize for it for anyone who wants to join as a mid-tier member. I sent out 2 football shirts this week, and last month we had a voucher for someone if that's not what you want. I need to do my Super Brew predictions now, actually. Arsenal. Will I upload one? I'll probably do quite a lot of wildcard drafts for that video, depending on what people want. Out of interest, if you're on wildcard in 8, which premiums do you plan on owning that you'd like a draft including? Haaland, presumably in all of them. But what other premiums would you like? We have done Fantasy Challenge. Yes, my Fantasy Challenge team looks like this. Salah and Haaland. Haaland and Salah. Is anyone going no Haaland? I would be surprised, but... Oh, Saka. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably do that as well. There'll be one with Haaland, Salah. There'll probably be one with Haaland, Salah, Gyökeres. Probably one with just Haaland, Gyökeres, or Haaland, Saka. I will do it. It'll be a video on Tuesday, probably. Do I use any AI tools or analytics to help you with your FPL decisions? I don't use AI. I use the Scout members area, like I really do, all the time. I'm on it every week. We were just using it to see that Bruno and Mbeumo are the biggest underperformers compared to their data so far this season. Be cautious of making early transfers tonight. I know there's going to be lots of price changes. Oh. Here we go. Like there are a lot of people predicted to change in price, but I'm not going early. Well, how is Gordon? How is Ndiaye out of interest? He's fine. And the other one is Gordon. Ooh. You're activating your wild card. Then that's fair. Right, let's have a look at these teams, shall we? Fulham and Bournemouth. Whoa, just about to come out. Will I buy Salah back in the future? Possibly. Not definitely. Gabriel could. Here we go. Yeah. No striker. They're playing, looks like Harry Wilson up front. Back five. Maybe a back five. Yeah, a back five for Fulham. And no striker. A back five for Fulham and no striker. Senesi starts. Evanilson starts. Kluivert doesn't start, which will put Semenyo on pens if they were to get one. Senesi, Evanilson, Brooks captain. Has that always been a thing? Oh, you want me to show it on screen? Sorry, let me get it. Yeah. What's my favourite sports to watch beside football? It's tight between cricket and rugby. Oh, Brooks has always been captain. Fine. So here's the Bournemouth team. Diakite starts. Hill, Tavernier, Brooks, Scott, Evanilson, Adams. I think Scott was a doubt, so good to see him playing. Truffert, Senesi, Petrovic, Semenyo, and Fulham. Leno, Diop, Anderson, Bassi, Castagna, Sessegnon, Burge, Lukic, front three of King, Iwobi, Wilson. That is the team. Anyway, that is all. This is where the team was. I think we're going to wrap it up there. That is game week 7. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the international break. I'll have a video out for you Sunday evening, another one on Tuesday, and then we'll have a little bit of a break because I'm going to wait for a few days as it's the international break. And it's a good time for me to have a little trip whilst not having to worry about the content. People saying 4-2-3-1 with Sessegnon on the wing. That is also possible. But they've got 3 centre-backs. They've got 3 centre-backs at the moment. Anyway, have a good one. I travel every week. Well, it's nice to see the world. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the international break. I appreciate all the support. Have hopefully green arrows for us all. And yeah, I'll see you all very soon.